How we doing, fellas? I know. It's been a bunch of months since I made one of these. As maybe some of you have missed hearing me ramble about drafting magical cards. I don't know. I really don't. But, so yeah, I know the last time you heard from me was the Return to Ravnica pre-release. And, yeah, I've been busy and doing stuff and blah blah blah. I just haven't been up for documenting my my draft exploits, shall we say? But yeah, so Return to Ravnica draft it's been okay. There's some fun rares in this set. It's been an entertaining format. It fits for a lot of things, you know. Interesting side note, by the way, is while clearing space off on the table to set up for this, knocked my coffee mug over. It was empty, but I found some cards sitting off to the side, and I'm like, oh, I just found a freaking fistful of Return to Ravnica rares. Most of them nothing too saucy. I think the sauciest stuff in here was a Dreadbore, Tristani, and a Counterflux, but that's okay. That's okay. Happier to have them than not. Hey, hey. So as you can see, I went to the GateCrash PreRelease last weekend. Gonna go down to the FLGS tonight and draft GateCrash. Yay, release week. I went Boros. I like the Boros Legion. I've been playing red and white together since like 95, 96, something like that. And I have like 4 red-white decks that are all rather different. So yeah, so you know, came with that and the red-white spin down sticker, welcome note from the Boros Legion, stupid achievement thing. Who gives a crap about that? I have no idea who the hell gives a crap about those. I really don't. I don't know. So anyways, the deck. I went red-white. Now I'm going to say this. I did really ho-hum with this at best. Well, how can I put this? That's not exactly true. I had a ho-hum record with it. This deck either did great or fell on its face. And since I had a ho-hum record, you can guess that it fell on its face at least as often as not. I did not have I had far from a fantastic pool. Far. I'm not saying I didn't get good cards, it's just that my pool wasn't all that good. Now, of course, the pre-release card for the Boros, the Foundry Champion, for a red and a white for a 4/4. When he hits the board, deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of creatures you control. He has fire breathing, he has inflatable toughness. He's reasonably solid. Rare worthy, absolutely. I don't think he's constructed worthy. That remains to be seen. But he's solid. He's solid. He's also kind of sort of removal, because he'll nuke creatures. Speaking of removal, I've also gotten Angelic Edict, 4 and a white sorcery, exile target creature or enchantment. It is a functional reprint of Iona's Judgment from Worldwake. For those not familiar with the concept of what a functional reprint is, it's a card that is identical to another card, just different names. As a lovely example, I'm trying to think. Unworthy Dead, I believe from Urza's block, was a functional reprint of Drudge Skeleton. There have been multiple functional reprints of Grizzly Bears over the years. Multiple. Anyways, I noticed a few fun reprints in the set. We'll get to that. Arrows of Justice, 2 colors and a red or a white, 4 to target attacking or blocking creature. That's not bad. Boros Charm. Boros Charm, really nice. It's a red and white instant, and one of the following: 4 to target player, or permanents you control are indestructible. Or, target creature gains double strike till end of turn. Double strike. Oh yeah. It's that awesome. It's that awesome. So it's really not bad at all. One of the cards that ended up being a workhorse in the deck, my 3 copies of Daring Skyjack. It's a 3/1 creature. He's got a battalion ability. It's the keyword for the Boros. Is basically a creature with a battalion ability. It has an ability that triggers whenever 3 or more creatures you control attack. Well, it and 2 others. So the creature with battalion and 2 other creatures. Yeah, I can speak English. Anyways, yeah, it gains flying on battalion. That's pretty saucy. Then he's also a 3 power for 2 mana. That's saucy too. You don't see that very often. That's pretty sweet. Millennial Gargoyle. I've made the joke a few times about, changing his creature type to bird and making him a falcon. It's the Millennial Falcon. Yes. I'm a big dork Star Wars reference. Hey, I play Magic. I'm a big dork. Yeah, it's a 2/2 flyer for 4 mana. The fact that it's colorless is what makes him playable in any color. So he's by no means first pick worthy when it comes time to draft, and he's not going to be constructed worthy. I have no illusions about that, none whatsoever. But in draft, he's going to be a pretty solid mid-pack pick. He really is. No 2 ways about that, Another thing that came in handy, I have 2 copies of Beckon Apparition. It's a white or a black. It's an Orzhov card, obviously, but hey, the fact that I can drop it with white mana made it playable in this deck. Exile a card from a graveyard and get a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. That's not bad. You're getting a 1/1. You're effectively getting a 1/1 flyer for 1 on the back of an effect that on rare occasions might be useful. Usually not, but on rare occasions might be. It's not a bad card. Seriously not. What else we got here? Oh, do I have any other? Well, let's just go over this in whatever order. Wojak Halberdiers, red and a white for a 3/2 that gets first strike on battalion. It's not bad. Here's another battalion. Bomber Corps, he's a 1/2 on battalion, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. I'll be perfectly blunt. This guy is underwhelming. He's seriously underwhelming. I don't know any other way to put it. Legion Loyalist. It's a single red mana for a 1/1 haste. Now at that point, he's Raging Goblin. Oh, he's got a battalion ability. He is now better than Raging Goblin. What is his battalion ability? Creatures you control get first strike and trample till end of turn, and can't be blocked by tokens. Not himself, creatures you control. He has a battalion ability that affects your entire attacking field. That's nice. That's nice. That's pretty saucy. I was in no way disappointed to see him, but you know what? I mean, there are other rares I would rather have seen, but he's not bad. And I have a sneaky suspicion he is going to show up in whatever new incarnations of Red deck wins or Boros deck wins we're going to see come out of GateCrash entering the standard environment. He's going to be in there. People will sneak him in just to test him out, if nothing else. That and being unblockable by tokens kind of like takes some steam out of some of those token decks that are still running around out there. I know they're out there. What else I got here? Martial Glory, or red and a white for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+0. Target creature gets +0/+3. They can be the same target if you want. So, worst case scenario, it's a giant growth. That's pretty saucy. I'm not going to complain. Technically, giant growth is almost as at home in red as it would be in green. For those who weren't around for it, in the Planar Chaos expansion, they chaos shifted Giant Growth into red and called it, I want to say Brute Strength? I can't remember, but it had some lovely flavor text about how the giant Keldon still had a pea-sized brain bouncing around inside of his now ginormous skull. Kid science fun stuff. Court Street Denizen. She's a 2/2 for 2 and a white. Whenever another white creature enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature and opponent controls. She's okay. She didn't really end up being terrifyingly useful for me, which is a shame. But oh well. Ember Beast, 2 and a red for a 3/4, cannot attack or block alone. He is a reprint from Odyssey Block. He actually stuck in my mind because, even over all these years, he stuck in my mind because I remember one time while drafting Odyssey Block, I looked at him and I'm like, you know, he's got a stupid drawback, but he's an undercosted 3/4. So I grabbed him. So I remember one time I grabbed him and I started playing him, and people started getting irritated with me playing Ember Beast because it's like I had 3 or 4 of them in my deck, and it's like, I don't care, it's a 3/4 for 3 mana, whatever. Swing. I don't think I actually won many games with that, but sure as hell irritated people because he's a good-sized body. And we're looking at a format where it's really difficult to kill him without getting your creature killed itself, so there's that. Act of Treason, which I'm pretty sure is a reprint. I just don't remember from where. 2 and a red, untap creature, gain control, it has haste. Well, untap, gain control till end of turn, it has haste. Blah, blah, blah. Warmind Infantry, it's 2 colors in a red for a 2/3. At this point, he's barely better than Hurloon Minotaur, which, sadly, even, despite the fact that Hurloon Minotaur used to be the semi-official mascot for Magic the Gathering, he's way behind the power curve these days. For those that don't know, Hurloon Minotaur is a colorless and 2 red mana for a 2/3 Minotaur with no special abilities. Yeah. So anyways, the Warmind Infantry, he's a 2/3 for 2 and a red, Elemental Soldier, blah blah blah. Battalion. He gains +2/+0 till end of turn on Battalion. That's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Equipment. We have Riot Gear, 2 colorless equipment. Equips for 2 colorless, gives equipped creature +1/+2. I would have been happier with a reprint of or a functional reprint of Bullshock Morningstar, which is +2/+2. But +1/+2 is acceptable. It's still equipment, which means it's a reusable buff. That makes it really nice. So, it's alright. Between the casting and the equip cost, though, it's a little on the high side. I think they would have been safer doing this one up with the same costs as Trusty Machete, and I don't think that would have put it above the curve. Trusty Machete was above the... Of course, Trusty Machete was also not common, and this is a common. I guess it's alright. I guess. An Herbis Protector. He's 4 and double white for a 1/1 human cleric that when he hits the board you get a 4/4 angel token with flying. No, white angel token with flying. I'll be perfectly honest, you play him, you're playing him mostly to get the angel token. Period. Statement ends. But you're getting an angel token and a chump blocker. A 1/1 chump blocker. That's about the size of it right there. You know? And I also got a Guardian of the Gateless. It's a 3/3 flyer for 4 and a white. Can block any number of creatures. Gets +1/+1 till end of turn for each creature it blocks. It's not bad. Oh, and a Boros Guildgate. Yay, Guildgates. So like I said, I didn't really have all that exceptional a card pool. And one thing that did occur to me as I was going through it was that I could put together another deck, and out of the stuff I wasn't using, So I gave that a shot, and I never actually played that deck. And maybe I should have given it a shot. Maybe it would have done me some good. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just gonna, in the process right here, trying to get that put down. Here we go. Okay, so the secondary deck I put together was blue, green, red, Simic and Gruul. Now, mind you, another thing that I'd do differently if I had this event to do over, if I had the event to do over again, is I probably would have made room in my Boros deck for this here Rubble Belt Raiders. And there it would be a colorless and triple red to cast, and that was the big reason why I didn't put it in. But she's a 3/3 for 4 mana, colorless, and 3 more mana in any combination of red and or green. And whenever she attacks, she gets a +1/+1 counter for each attacking creature you control. Even if she swings by herself, she becomes a 4/4. That's pretty saucy. I should have used her. Oh well. Pair of Ruination Worms, 4 red and a green for 7/6. No specials. It's just a big dumb beater. A Primal Visitation, 3 a red and a green for a creature enchantment that grants +3/+3 and haste. Let's be honest. A 5-drop enchantment, the haste is almost meaningless. Maybe if you're at 6 mana and you drop a 1/1, you can turn it into a 4/4 with haste. Whoop-de-flippin'-dee. I mean, really guys, haste? Haste? Arguably one of the worst things to have on, one of the worst abilities to put on a card. I'm not saying haste doesn't have a place. I mean, there are plenty of decks where haste is a great ability because it lets you serve for damage and do it immediately, you know? But when you have a card that you attach to a creature, like especially when it comes to an aura, which you just can't move around, haste is kind of assy. What else we got here? Burning Tree Shaman, 2/2 for 2 mana in any combination of red or green. Hits the board, add red and green to your mana pool. A Gruul Charm, choose 1. Creatures without flying can't block, gain control of all permanents you own, or deals 3 damage to each creature with flying. So it's got a couple of flying creatures without flying. So it's got a few interesting abilities to it. I'm going to say it's probably going to end up being draft playable, if nothing else, because it will hose flyers or stop non-flyers from attacking, letting you get through on the ground more easily. So there's some funk in there. What else do I got here? Shamble Shark, 2/1 flash evolve. The evolve mechanic was whenever a creature comes into play with greater under your control with greater power or toughness than this gets a +1/+1 counter. If nothing else, hey, you know what? He's a 2 mana for a 2/1 flat guy with flash. I mean, he just throw him out there as a surprise blocker. A pair of Drakewing Crosses. He's a 3/1 flying trample for a colorless of green and blue. That's not bad at all, really. Zamek Guildmage, 2/2, pump colors and pump a green and a blue. Each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter this turn, or pump a green to blue, remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control to draw a card. That's kind of saucy. Rust Scarab, it's 4 and a green for a 4/5. When he becomes blocked, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. That can actually get annoying. Scar Goliath. This is a rare, 6 and double green for a 9/9 trample. Blood Rush is 5 and double green, and you discard him, and target attacking creature gets +9/+9 and trample till end of turn. Blood Rush is an interesting mechanic. Basically, it turns a lot of your creatures into extra buff spells. So It's going to be interesting. I'm expecting Gruul to be remarkably tricky for red-green. Remarkably tricky. Forced adaptation, or adaptation. A single green to cast, it's an aura. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on enchanted creature. It's okay. Croconora, it's a 1/3 reach evolve. Crocodile frog. I don't make this stuff up, guys. Hindervines, 2 and a green, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures with no +1/+1 counters on them. It's a fog variation. That basically means well, let me see. There are 3 fog variants in Innistrad block. We have fog in M13. We have the populate fogulate, if you would, in Return to Ravnica. I want to say it's Druid's Deliverance. And now we have Hindervines as another fog variant. We've got 3, 4, 5. Just in green alone, we have 5 fogs in Standard. That's crazy. That's crazy. Scab Clan Charger. 3 and a green for a 2/4. Blood Rush for a colorless and a green. Target attacking creature gets +2/+4 to end of turn. Interesting. Keymaster Rogue gets a 3/2 unblockable. Enters the battlefield. Return a creature you control to owner's hand. The Death Cult Rogue. He's a 2/2 for 1 mana and an additional 2 mana in any combination of blue or black. Obviously, if I had ever played this deck, I'd have been casting him for a colorless and double blue. Can't be blocked except by rogues. That's kind of cute, actually. Rapid Hybridization. Single blue, instant, destroy target creature. It can't be regened. That creature's controller gets a 3/3 frog lizard token. Yay. Way of the Teeth. 3 colors and a blue, enchant creature. It gets +2/+2, unblockable as long as you control a gate. Frilled Oculus, a colorless and a blue for a 1/3. You pump a colorless and a green, gets +2/+2 till end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. I expect this little guy is going to be annoying as all hell in draft. If not on the, maybe not on the offensive, but just trying to get through him. Oh yeah, I'm going to pump him. He's now 3/5. 3/5. Do you want to swing into a 3/5? That's not an attractive option. 3/5. What is this? Sky Games. Colorless and a blue. Enchant land. Enchanted land has tap. Target creature gains flying until end of turn. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. That's going to see some play. I promise. That will see draft play. This does not have a sleeve on it because I had one, but the sleeve broke. Go fig. Last thoughts. 3 and a blue. Draw a card. Cipher. Cipher is kind of weirdly worded. Basically, when a card with Cipher resolves, you exile that card, and it becomes quote-unquote encoded onto a creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, you may cast a copy of the encoded spell. Basically, it's kind of like giving a creature a imprint ability and imprinting the spell at the same time. It's an interesting idea. When it works, it's powerful. I've seen other people using it at the pre-release, and when it worked, it was pretty awesome. When it worked. Alright, I'm going to put the camera down here for a second. I'm going to bust out the cards that didn't make it into either deck for all the world to see, because I'm nefarious like that. Yay, nefariousness. Soldier token! Basic lands. Okay. So, some stuff in white that I ended up not using. I didn't use the Basilica Guards. He's a 1/4 for 2 and a white. Defender, Extort. That's the Orzhov mechanic. Whenever you cast... Extort basically says whenever you cast a spell you may pay a white or a black. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain that much life. One of the interesting quirks about that is if you have multiple dudes with Extort on the board, they all trigger separately. So you can theoretically cast 1 spell and extort like 2, 3, 4 times, depending on how many dudes you have and how much mana you have available. So that's going to be interesting. Nav Squad Commando. It's a 3/5 with Battalion. On Battalion, he gets +1/+1 till end of turn and untaps. Who cares? Dutiful Thrall, he's a 1/1 that regenerates for black. It's interesting. Syndic of Tithes, he's a colorless and a white for a 2/2 with Extort. He's an Extort bear. Shielded Passage, a single white instant, prevent all damage that will be dealt to target creature this turn. It's interesting. Amongst blue, we've got Scatter Arc, 3 and a blue instant, counter non-creature spell, draw a card. So, ugh, I'm not pleased by it. I'd rather see Dismiss reprinted. For that matter, I'm trying to remember, was Dismiss reprinted in the current course set, or was Rewind? I don't remember. I seriously don't. Bad counterspell was bad. Clinging and Enemies, 3 and a blue, 1/4 Defender Evolve. If it didn't have Defender, it wouldn't be so bad. But since it does, yeah. Spell Rupture, colors blue, counter target spell unless its controller pays X, where X is the greatest power amongst creatures you control. That's interesting. It's interesting. Amongst green, Naturalize has been reprinted. Ivy Lane Denizen, it's a 3 and a green for a 2/3. Whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It's interesting. Predator's Report, 2 and a green instant. Choose a creature you target creature you control. Gain life equal to that creature's power plus its toughness. Interesting. Tower Defense, calls in a green instant. Creatures you control get +0/+5 and reach till end of turn. Interesting. Black. I had a... I had 2 of those guys? No, just 1? Okay. Thought I had 2. I had a Horror of the Dim. 400 black for a 3/4. You can pump blue to give them hexproof till end of turn. That's not bad. Death's Approach, a single black enchantment aura, enchanted creature, it's neg-X, where X is the number of creature cards in its controller's graveyard. Contaminated Ground, it's a reprint, colorless and a black, enchanted land is a swamp. Whenever enchanted land becomes tapped, its controller loses 2 life. Dying Wish, colorless and a black, enchant creature you control. When it dies, target player loses X life, you gain X life, where X is the creature's power. Midnight Recovery, 3 and a black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Cipher. Interesting. White of Precinct 6, colorless and a black for a 1/1. Gets a +1/+1 counter for each creature card in... I'm sorry, gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your opponent's graveyards. No counters involved. Note that it says graveyards. Your opponent's graveyards. More than one opponent. It's plural. which means if you're using him in a multiplayer game, for example EDH, he can get huge. Huge. He's a huge guy. Sepulchral Primordial, 5 double black for a 5/4, Intimidate. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, you may put up to one target creature card from that player's graveyard into the battlefield under your control. That's kind of saucy. Once again, sits there and screams EDH. Slate Street Ruffian, he's a 2/2 for 2 and a black. Whenever he becomes blocked, defending player discards a card. It's interesting. Well, it looks like I went over that time limit. Yeah, the 32 minute time limit that the camera has for any one file size. I guess it's there to stop you from like trying to take the camera into a movie and recording the movie. I guess, I don't know. But I believe we covered the Slate Street Ruffian, 2/2 for 2 and a black. Whenever it becomes blocked, defending player discards a card. Shadow Alley Denizen is a 1/1 for black. Vampire Rogue. Whenever another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains Intimidate till end of turn. That's kind of saucy. The last of the monocolored stuff that did not make the cut. Hellraiser Goblin, 2 and a red for a 2/2. Creatures you control have haste and attack each combat if able. It's not too bad. Not great, but it's not too bad. Definitely means you have to play aggressive. A pair of Structural Collapse, 5 and a red. Target player sacks an artifact and a land, and Structural Collapse deals 2 damage to that player. If the cost wasn't so high and maybe it had an or rather than and, I don't know. Towering Thunderfist, I almost used this guy. I want to use this guy. He's a 4/4 for 4 and a red. You pump white to give him vigilance. He's okay. Tin Street Market, 4 and a red, enchanted land gains the ability to tap to discard a card and draw a card. That's not bad. I think it's overcosted, but it's not bad. I think maybe the reason why it's costed the way it is because there's not a lot of enchantment removal. Nor is there a lot of land removal, neither of which get played very much. Ripscale Predator, he's 4 and double red for a 6/5, can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Massive Raid, 1 and double red, damage to target creature or player equal to the number of creatures you control. It's an instant, it's not bad. Scorchwalker, it's 3 and a red for a 5/1. Blood Rush, you can pay a 1 and double red, pitch him from your hand. Target attacking creature gets +5/+1 to end of turn. Interesting. This is a card that I think is going to see some casual usage. I don't know about constructed. I'm very hesitant to say it's going to see constructive play. Glaring Spotlight, 1 to play. Creatures your opponent control with hexproof can be the targets of spells and abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. And you can pay 3 and sacrifice it to give creatures you control hexproof until end of turn and unblockable. That's nice. A Dimir and Orzhov Guildgates, an Orzhov Charm. Choose 1. Return target creature you control and all ores you control attached to it to their owner's hand, or destroy target creature and you lose life equal to its toughness, or return target creature card with convert mana cost 1 or less from graveyard to battlefield. It's interesting. Vizcapa Confessor, 3 a white and a black for a 1/3 with Extort. Whenever it enters the battlefield, pay any amount of life. That target opponent reveals that many cards from his or her hand. You choose one of them and exile it. Exile. Hydroform, green and a blue, instant target land becomes a 3/3 elemental flyer until end of turn. If it wasn't till end of turn, that's something I would gladly see as an enchantment instead of an instant with end of turn clause. I don't know. Signal the clans, red, green. Search your library for 3 creature cards, reveal them. If you reveal 3 cards with different names, choose one of them at random and put that card into your hand. Shuffle the rest into your library. It's kind of interesting. Shattering Blow, 1 colorless and a white or a red. Exile target artifact. That's kind of interesting. A Mortis Strider. It's a colorless, a blue and a black for a 1/1. When it dies, return it to owner's hand. And a Dusk Mantle Guildmage. Blue and a black, 2/2. You pump a colorless, a blue, and a black whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn. That player loses 1 life. Pump 2 colorless, a blue, and a black. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into their graveyard. Interesting. Interesting. So, hey, there's all the stuff I got that pre-release. Like I said, I did pretty ho-hum. That's life sometimes. I did not get a good card pool. As you may recall, I had an awesome card pool for Return to Ravnica. Just awesome. This time, not so much. On it, and this was at the midnight pre-release on Friday night / wee hours of Saturday morning. I honestly thought about going back on like Sunday to give it another shot because this just turned out so disappointingly, but I didn't. Oh well. So that's that, fellas. Hopefully you'll hear from me again before Dragon Maze pre-release, right? For those who haven't heard yet, Dragon Maze is going to be the next set after this one. They're going to be doing something really interesting with pre-release. You're going to choose any one of the 10 guilds, and in addition, you're going to get a promo card. You will not be allowed to play your pre-release promo card in your deck. And I know that's a departure from what we've seen so far in this block for pre-releases. And honestly, that itself was a departure from how things normally go. So, hey, no crocodile tears there, you know. But it's going to be interesting because you're going to get, instead of for Dragon Maze pre-release, instead of getting, you know, X number of boosters plus that plus or whatever. What it is you're going to get. You choose one of the 10 guilds. You get 1 pre-made booster of that guild, just like you would have at the pre-release that guild first showed up in, and you get a secret ally guild. Yes. Now some people are sitting there going, "What the hell are you talking about, dude?" You are going to get a second guild-specific booster pack that shares 1 color with the guild you chose. Yeah. So for example, if you were to go Boros, you could get the Azorius as your allied guild, which would be interesting. You'd be blending aggression, aggro, and control elements, right? You could get Celestia as your allied guild. That would also work in your favor. I mean, you know, populate with Battalion. Hi, how you doing? Talk up, you know, some mid-range beats. That would be interesting. Of course, on the other hand, really strange things could happen as well. You could end up with the Izzet as an ally. Well, it's like, okay, tricks and brute force. That's just weird. You could end up with the Rakdos as an ally, in which case you're just going straight aggression. Just straight aggression. Just play dudes, turn them sideways. Go to town. Go to town. Or heaven forbid, you could end up with, you know, Gruul as an ally, more beats. Let's see, red, black, red, green. Red, white. Red, blue. Is it already covered that? White, black. You could end up with Orzhov as your ally. You never know. And then you'd get 4 more. So you'd get the you'd get the one booster that you know what you were getting. More or less, you'd have a good idea what you were getting. Just straight guild of your choice. Your secret ally guild plus 4 more booster packs, and that's what you'd be making your deck out of. But like I said, that's Dragon Maze. That's in another 3 months. In the meantime, we're going to be drafting GateCrash, just straight GateCrash by itself, guys. It's a second large set. It's in the middle of the block for a change. I mean, honestly, up until just a couple of years ago, I want to say it was Zendikar block was the first one to have 2 large sets in it. I'm not 100% certain. It might have been Alara. As I've said before, I'm not of all of the sets. I'm the least familiar with all the relatively recent sets. I'm the least familiar with Alara because I was kind of sort of slightly in Iraq when it came out, so I don't really know it well. Yeah. And sets from before I started playing I don't know well. For example, I don't really know the contents of Antiquities, Arabian Nights, The Dark, or Antiquities, Arabian Nights, The Dark Legends. I don't know the contents of those sets too well either. So that's that. So anyways, get these spliced together, get them tossed up on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. And hey, you know, if you're going to a GateCrash release tonight, have fun, guys. Have fun. Alrighty. I'll catch you later. Be good. Stay safe. Etc. Etc. Yada yada.